So this book was never supposed to happen. I remember it very clearly. It was almost 2 years ago, and I was getting ready to write the 4th book of my Guardian series. That's what was supposed to happen. What did happen, however, was a journey that I never thought I would be on. So there I was. It was January. I was still teaching at the time, and it was time for exams. And usually that's 4 hours I have to just think through my next novel. And I was all ready to think through book 4. I had my notepad, I had my pen, I was ready to chart it out, and nothing came. Which was weird, because I already had the book cover, I had the premise, I had all my characters already, I knew what the book was about, but nothing was coming to me. What did come to me was a whole different story, and that was the Kindred Letters. I knew right away it was a young adult novel. I knew right away it was going to be about a kid who was struggling with depression, who was struggling with addiction. I knew it was going to be about the kindred spirit. I knew the whole story. I knew the whole plot. I knew everything. It was pouring out of me page after page after page. The only thing I didn't have was my main character, which was strange for me. Usually I build the whole story around a character, and this time I really didn't know who that was. I did know, however, that his name was going to be Josh, and I wrote it in my journal. I said, Josh, and I gave him that little last name Hurley, because I thought that was a cool name. So I had Josh Hurley. I had a story about Josh Hurley, but I didn't know who Josh was. So days went by, and I'm really trying to figure out who this Josh is, and it was bothering me, because usually I know my main characters, because you have to know who these people are. And I don't know, days went by, and I just got the feeling that my character was in the kindred spirit. So I went to my husband, and I said, we have to go back to the beach, which was not an easy sell, because we had just been at the beach. But awesome as he is, doesn't ask questions, we go right back to Sunset Beach. And I dragged my poor children down 1.5 miles down the beach in the middle of February. It is freezing, and I opened the mailbox and I dispersed journals to both my kids, and I took my own stack, and I said, if you see a story or anything stands out, let me know. And we were out there for hours. But something started forming in the stack of journals I had. I noticed that on every other page, there was the same person writing to their son. And there wasn't a story there, except for it was the same woman every other page. And it was very clear that she had lost her son. It wasn't until the 5th or 6th letter that she actually named her son. And his name was Josh. However, she only signed her letters with the name Masha. Nothing else. Didn't get a last name for Josh. I just knew that a woman who was signing these letters, Masha, had lost her son, Josh. So I took some pictures of the letters. I know, creepy, but I did. And then the whole way home, while my husband's driving, I'm trying to figure out who this Masha is. And I couldn't find anything. What I did find was an obituary, and it was for Joshua Rizzo. So then I typed Joshua Rizzo into Facebook, and a poem popped up, and the poem was signed by Masha. Masha was Tina Rizzo. So now I had a name, I had a way to contact her through Facebook, but how do you do that? So weeks went by. I was too terrified to say anything to Tina. How do you say, I found your letters in the mailbox and I want to use your son for my book? But eventually that's what I did. I got up at 3 o'clock in the morning, almost exactly 2 weeks later, and knew I had to write that right now. I couldn't get a coffee. I couldn't take a shower. nothing. I had to write that letter to Tina right then. And I had somewhere to be at 7 that morning. So I wrote it at 3, and I hit send on my way out the door. And then it was many, many, many hours before she got back to me. But when she did, it was incredible. I thought she would yell at me. I thought she would be mad that I had intruded on her privacy in the mailbox. I was afraid that I was going to make her wound worse. But it was the opposite. She was excited. She was very open to anything I had to say, and we decided we were going to meet 2 days later. She happened to be in the area where I was with her daughter, and we met at a Waffle House in Sanford, North Carolina, because that was the closest to a coffee shop there was. I met these two smiling faces. She had a stack of memorabilia from Josh. She had letters he had written. She had pictures. She had all the music that he used to make. She had everything, and she shared it all. It was about halfway into our conversation when I showed her in my notebook where I had written Joshua Hurley. And when she saw that, and her daughter saw that, I saw their faces just turn white. And I said, what is it about the Hurley? And they told me. They said his favorite thing in the world was his Hurley t-shirt. And we all started crying. Because we knew in that moment, if we hadn't known before, we knew in that moment that this story was something well beyond all of us. And that it was going to be really important.